everybody. This is Sports Guy Ron here with your NFL Week 5 recap. It was a pretty interesting week. A lot of surprises, a lot of good games. So we'll get to it. We'll start with the London game at 9:30 Eastern. It was Minnesota defeating Cleveland 21-17. I picked Minnesota to win and to cover. That was correct. The keys plays or stats. We've got Quinshon Judkins, the second round pick out of Ohio State for Cleveland, 23 carries, 110 yards. He also had a touchdown that was called back by holding penalties, or he would have an even bigger game. We had Justin Jefferson, 7 catches for 123 yards. Cleveland, no turnovers, but they did commit 10 penalties. That's why the game was close. No turnovers. But they had a lead. They had less than 20 yards in the fourth quarter or something pathetic like that with Dylan Gabriel, who was decent, didn't make mistakes, didn't do anything flashy, made most of the right reads, but was pretty boring, to be honest. But Cleveland did commit 10 penalties. That hurt them, including that one. Actually, there was 2 holds on that long run by Judkins. But that's what hurt them. The defense gave up a touchdown at the end. Minnesota scored with less than a minute left, I think it was. Denzel Ward, their all-pro cornerback, he made a mistake on the coverage and led to a touchdown, the final touchdown pass. So Minnesota won. In the next game at 1 p.m., we had Dallas defeating the Jets 37-22. I was right on my win and spread predictions on that one. Dallas now 500, 2-2-1. The Jets, now they're 0-5. I think they're the only 0-5 team now. Actually, they've been more competitive than that. Even though they're 0-5, they're making too many mistakes, but they've played pretty well. I don't think they're going to stay 0 for too long. Dak Prescott threw 4 touchdown passes. Javonte Williams had 16 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown. Neither defense really slowed the other offense up too much. Dallas just made bigger plays and was more consistent in getting touchdowns. And that's why they're victorious in the game. The next game, very competitive game that was close the whole way. Denver defeated Philadelphia 21-17. I lost my win prediction. I said Philly would win, but I did say Denver would cover, which they did. That's a win. Denver's now 3-2. Philadelphia's 4-1. Denver outrushed Philly 130-45. You're not expecting that with Saquon Barkley for them to be outrushed like that, but they were. Philly gave up 6 sacks. The offensive line, that was one of the key matchups. Philly has a very good offensive line. It is a little banged up, but Landry Dickerson went out in the game and didn't come back. That didn't help them. But Denver's defensive line is everything that everybody said it was going to be, and their defense played really well against Philadelphia. The game was pretty even yards wise. You got to give Sean Payton credit. It was 17-10. Denver was losing. Denver scored a touchdown. Sean Payton was very aggressive on the road. He decided to go for 2. They were up 18-17. They exchanged possessions. Denver got in line for a field goal. So that meant that they led by 4 points instead of 3 points, which means Philadelphia needed a touchdown at the end, not a field goal. That was very important, and that led to their victory. The Denver defense held up at the end, and they won 21-17. In the next game, Baltimore, boy, I know they're injured, but woo. Houston went into Baltimore. They won 44-10. The game was every bit that lopsided. Houston's now 2-3 after winning 2 in a row. Baltimore drops to 1-4. They're in real trouble if they don't turn it around. Luckily, the AFC North division has dropped off dramatically. from a couple years ago, and it's even at 1-4. I think it's winnable for them if they can get things righted and turn things around and get people back healthy again reasonably. C.J. Stroud went 23 of 27. That tells you how Baltimore's defense played without a lot of key guys. 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. I saw Nick Chubb ran in a touchdown. I think Woody Marks ran in a touchdown. It was just touchdowns everywhere. They ran the ball really well. They had 417 total yards to Baltimore's 207. They were 7 of 12 on third down. That'll tell you it wasn't tough for them to convert third downs when they got to third down. Baltimore threw 3 interceptions. Cooper Rush has struggled big time playing for Lamar Jackson, and it led to a blowout win for Houston. I lost that. I thought Baltimore would Houston hadn't been playing well. I thought Baltimore would take care of business. I was obviously wrong on that one. So one of the few ones I got really wrong this week. I actually had a good week, so we'll let that one go, and we'll go on to the second side of the board. The New Orleans Saints defeated the New York Giants 26-14. The New York Giants fall to 1-4. New Orleans got their first victory. They're now 1-4. I won that for the win and the spread. Jackson Dart threw 2 interceptions. He's not horrible. He hasn't been bad. It wasn't like he was bad in this game. His legs gets them some first downs when they need it. But the Giants just, they gave a ball up way too much. There was no way they were going to overcome it, even against the Saints. Rashid Shaheed had 4 catches for 114 yards and a touchdown. I think one was like 87 yards. That he got from Rattler. Big play in the game. Turnovers. New York had 5. One was returned for a touchdown late along, I think it was a fumble return for a touchdown. And New Orleans had no turnovers. That's going to be the difference in the game. They only won by 12 points with those stats, but it was good enough for them. In the next game, this was a blowout game. Las Vegas lost to Indianapolis 40-6. I picked Indianapolis to win and cover, and they easily did. Geno, we had bad Geno this week. He had 2 interceptions. Daniel Jones was 20 of 29 for 212 and 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, 17 for 66 and 3 touchdowns. His replacement came in. I think it was Amir Abdullah had a touchdown. Indianapolis, no turnovers or sacks. Las Vegas, 3 interceptions, 3 turnovers, 4 sacks. 2 interceptions, 4 sacks. Let me get it right. And that's going to be the difference in the game. It's a complete blowout. The game wasn't close. The game wasn't going to be close. And not really a whole lot more to say about that, except Indianapolis is surprising at 4-1. Even though, if you remember my video on the preview of the season, I said Indianapolis was going to be a better team than a lot of people thought. I think I got that one right. I think they're a little better than I even thought that they might be. But we'll see how the rest of the season shakes out. In the next game, we have Miami. They went into Carolina, and they had a big lead and lost. Carolina wins 27-24. I won that one for the win and the spread. Carolina overcame a 17-0 deficit and 2 turnovers. Miami did not turn it over. But Rico Dowdle, the Dallas cast-off that he went to Carolina, although they say now that they wanted him back, but, whatever. Who knows what Jerry Jones thinks. Rico Dowdle had 23 carries for 206 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Waddle did step up in the absence of Tyreek Hill. He had 6 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. This was a good game. It was entertaining. It was back and forth. But Carolina made the plays when they had to at the end of the game to overcome that 17-0 lead. They held onto the ball better, and they were victorious. This might have been the game of the week. This was a wild game. Back and forth offenses, defenses. Either they didn't show up, or the offenses were so good that they had no chance. I'm actually leaning to the latter. I think both of these offenses are playing really well. Two reclamation projects that met in Carolina for a short time, that they got rid of both of them, and now look at them. It's amazing. Baker Mayfield, 29 of 33, 379 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sam Darnold, 28 of 34, 341 yards and 4 touchdowns and 1 INT. It was the showcase for Ohio State young wideouts. Emeka Egbuka had 7 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 8 catches for 132 yards and a touchdown. The key play in the Tampa Bay 38-35 win over Seattle was Levante David's interception when it was tied 35-35. It set up a 30-some yard field goal by Chase McLaughlin at the buzzer for Tampa Bay to win 38-35. I had the win on that, in the win and against the spread. Good side of the board for me, 4 for 4. The other side wasn't too bad either. So in the next 4 o'clock game, we have Tennessee. They were victorious over Arizona, 22-21. I took the L on that, on the win and the spread. I know a lot of people in the Circa Survivor out in Vegas had Arizona. They took the loss with that one. That's going to hurt. This game was total mayhem. Arizona was up 21-3. Tennessee scored a touchdown, and instead of going for 2 points, Brian Callahan went for 1. It was a dumb thing to do, because if you go for 2 in that situation, then if you make it, you're down by 8 points. If you miss it, you're down by, more points, and you need a touchdown and a field goal. You know what you need. But he kicked the extra point. Joey Sly missed it anyway. It didn't matter. So they were down. Then Amari Mercado in another, I can't believe these keep happening. He broke a 70-some yard run, was going into the end zone, dropped the ball before the end zone and got a touchback. Jonathan Gann got a $100,000 fine because stuff he did to DeMarcado on the sideline. Then, the touchdown that they got to get it close, Arizona actually intercepted the ball at inside the 5-yard line, but the guy intercepting it fumbled. It got kicked back into the end zone. Tennessee fell on it for a touchdown, so they were down 21-19. Then they stopped Arizona. Tennessee drove down. They kicked a 29-yard field goal. Joey Sly made up for his missed extra point, even though he shouldn't have been out there anyway. At 0 at the gun, and that's how Tennessee won 22-21. Arizona just shot themselves in the foot all over the place the entire second half after being up 21-3. They deserve to lose. This is a game they lose. There's certain teams in the league that'll lose games like this. Cleveland Browns come to mind. I know, I'm a Browns fan. They do that. We know they do that. Arizona's another one, and they did it, and they lost to Tennessee. And a really good game on paper. It wasn't a very good game in reality. The Washington Commanders were victorious over the LA Chargers 27-10. I lost that one. I thought the Chargers would bounce back after laying an egg against the Giants the week before. That was not the case at all. Washington pretty much controlled this game. Bill Krosky-Mara had 14 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Washington has a really good one that they drafted later on. He looks really good. Jaden Daniels was back. He played well. Deebo Samuel had 8 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown to make up for Terry McLaurin still being out. The Chargers didn't, they played fine, but they couldn't make any big plays. Washington pretty much dominated, and they won 27-10. Both teams are now 3-2. In the next game, Detroit beat Cincinnati 37-24. I got the win again on the win and against the spread. Detroit was up 28-3. This game was over quick. Cincinnati wasn't in it. Jake Browning was throwing the ball all over the place. Horrible ball placement all day long. He was throwing the ball in bad situations. I think he threw one that he was trying to get to Chase. There was 4 guys around him. It wasn't even 3. It might have been 3, but it seemed like 7 because he was just throwing it in bad spots. He played bad enough that the Bengals traded for Joe Flacco on Tuesday, so we'll be seeing Joe Flacco at least backing up. I think Jake Browning might get one more start to prove he's righted the ship. Otherwise, they're going to put Flacco in. We'll see about that. I don't know. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 8 catches for 100 yards. Sam Laporta had 5 catches for 92 and a touchdown. Detroit dominated the game. It was 28-3. Cincinnati got touchdowns in garbage time that really, I mean, they could have got back into it, but then Browning got sacked in the end zone by Derek Barnes for a safety, and it was pretty much done 37-24. In the 8 o'clock game, and kind of an upset, the New England Patriots were victorious at Buffalo over the Bills, giving them their first loss and making sure that there were no teams that were undefeated. They won 23-20. New England's now 3-2. Buffalo's now 4-1. I guess that means the division is actually in play. I'm kind of surprised by that, although I think Buffalo's better, but we'll see. I took the L. I thought Buffalo would win the game. They'd pull out a close game, but that they did not. I did get the win on the spread. I thought New England would keep it closer than 8.5, which they obviously did. The rookie kicker, Borregales, he had a 55-yard field goal with 15 seconds left. Stephon Diggs in his return to Buffalo, big game. 10 catches for 146 yards. You could see he was very emotional in his interviews pregame and postgame. You know it meant a lot to him. He seems to have better focus. I think you obviously, could tell earlier in his career, Minnesota, Buffalo, that there were some issues there. I think he's matured. I think he's grown up. I think, sometimes as younger guys, we don't look at ourselves in the same way as we do when we get a little older and we realize some of our mistakes. And, that's, and I think that's happened with him. I think he's becoming a leader on that team, and they need it. They're a young team. Buffalo had 2 fumbles and an interception in the game after Ramondre Stevenson's early fumble, which really derailed New England for a time. But Drake May went toe-to-toe with Josh Allen and was every bit as good in this game as Josh Allen was, and that helped New England to pull out a 23-20 victory. In the Monday night game, you have Kansas City. They went into Jacksonville, and they lost 31-28. I took the L on that in the win and against the spread. I thought Kansas City would go in and win. You got to give it up to Jacksonville. They played a good game. Devin Lloyd, who was a first-round draft pick out of Utah, the linebacker, for a while, that they didn't think he was playing very well. They did not pick up his fifth-year option this year. That's not surprising because he kind of underperformed early in his career in Jacksonville. He's been playing lights out this year. He should be in the Pro Bowl for sure. He may be all pro at linebacker this year. He had a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown. I think I saw that's the longest ever by a linebacker other than James Harrison's 100-yarder against Arizona in the Super Bowl. But that was a big play in the game. And Trevor Lawrence really manned up in the fourth quarter, especially on that last drive. The one ball on the sideline that he threw, that might have been the best throw I've seen all season. There was 3 guys bracketing him on the sideline. They knew he wanted to throw it to the sideline, and he fit it in that window. Really impressive throw. Down at the goal line, they had no timeouts, and the clock was was going to tick down. He got stepped on by his lineman, and when he was under center, after they hiked the ball, he fell down. He could have been touched down. He got up, stumbled, ran the ball in for the touchdown. It's pretty impressive. You got to give him credit. Jacksonville's better than I thought, which as a Browns fan is bad for me because we have Jacksonville's first round pick, but they are now 4-1, and Kansas City is 2-3. And Atlanta and Green Bay, Chicago and Pittsburgh were on byes. It was a good week. For me, on the picks and the wins, not so much. I was 7-7 straight up, but against the spread, 9-5. I'd take 9-5 every week. I wish we could get back to that. So now I'm 34-41-1 against the spread. My win straight up is 47-28-1. That's not too bad. We'll take that. And I will look forward to week 6. It should be a pretty exciting week. We got another game overseas. And I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a like. I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. I do this every week. And I hope you have a blessed day. Talk to you later.